Jade Carter never expected to be handed a tray in her own father's mansion. But that night, that's exactly what happened. 7 years after being thrown out of the family, she returned home, not as a guest, not as family, but as someone they believed had failed. And the worst part? They had no idea she was the one holding their future in her hands. The moment Jade stepped through the grand doors of the mansion, every memory came rushing back. The same marble floors, the same golden chandelier, the same cold atmosphere that once made her feel small. Her stepmother, Linda, noticed her first. That tight smile appeared instantly, the kind that wasn't welcome, but warning. Her father looked next, his jaw stiffened. And Brandon? He smirked, like seeing Jade again was some kind of joke. "Well," Linda muttered loudly, making sure nearby guests could hear, "look what finally came back." 7 years, 7 long years since Jade walked out of this house. 7 years since her father told her she was no longer welcome, simply because she refused to follow the future he designed for her. And now, here she was again, standing inside the mansion she once called home, dressed in black, holding a small clutch. Inside it, a federal clearance badge and an assignment letter that could change everything. But no one asked why she returned. No one asked how she survived all those years alone. Instead, Linda shoved a silver tray into her hands. "Since you're already here," she said coldly, "you might as well be useful." Jade didn't argue, didn't react. She simply smiled, because deep down, she knew something they didn't. Tonight, everything was about to flip. The tray felt heavier than expected, not because of the champagne glasses, but because of the stares. Eyes followed her across the room, judging, measuring, whispering. Some guests didn't recognize her at all. To them, she was just staff, invisible, replaceable, forgettable. Others recognized her immediately, family friends, old business partners, country club regulars, but none of them welcomed her. Instead, whispers floated through the air. "Wasn't she the smart one? I heard she left school. No, didn't she join some weird government job? Such wasted potential." Jade heard every word and ignored every single one, because she wasn't here for approval, she was here for truth. 7 years ago, Jade Carter had been the pride of this family, top of her class, academic champion, accepted into elite programs. Back then, her father called her brilliant, until the day she made a decision he couldn't control. Instead of joining the family company, she chose federal cyber intelligence, a path that meant service instead of profit, impact instead of inheritance. The silence that followed her decision was unforgettable. Cold, sharp, unforgiving. By nightfall, her bags were packed. By sunrise, the locks were changed. And just like that, she stopped being a daughter. "Stand up straight," Linda whispered as she passed behind her. "At least pretend you didn't ruin your future." Jade said nothing. She didn't need to, because tonight she wasn't here to prove her worth. She was here to test theirs. Guests filled the hall slowly. Expensive suits, designer gowns, glasses clinking, soft music playing in the background. At the center of the room stood a large display model, a preview of Carter Technology's newest defense system, her father's biggest project, his proudest achievement. And standing beside it was Brandon, her stepbrother, confident, polished, smiling like the world belonged to him. He had followed the family script perfectly. Business school, executive training, fast promotions, everything handed down step by step. Tonight, he was being introduced to investors as the future of the company. But what none of them knew was that future depended on one thing: approval, government approval. And that approval sat quietly inside Jade's clutch. "Miss." A man snapped his fingers toward her, holding out an empty glass. Not once did he look at her face. Not once did he recognize her. To him, she was nothing, just another server moving through the room. And honestly, that worked perfectly, because Jade wanted them comfortable, relaxed, careless. She wanted to see who they truly were when they believed she was powerless. Then suddenly, the room shifted. You could feel it, like electricity before lightning strikes. A tall man entered through the doors, gray suit, sharp posture, eyes that missed nothing. Every conversation paused, every head turned. This was Richard Baines, one of the most powerful executives in the defense industry, the man everyone here desperately wanted to impress. Her father rushed toward him immediately. "Richard," he said proudly, "welcome, we're honored to have you." He placed a hand on Brandon's shoulder. "My son, the future of this company." Baines nodded politely, but his attention didn't stay there. His eyes moved across the room, scanning, observing, until they stopped on Jade. His expression changed instantly. Recognition, surprise, then something else, respect. He began walking toward her, ignoring investors, ignoring executives, ignoring her father, straight toward the girl holding the tray. And then he spoke. "Agent Carter." His voice was calm, clear, loud enough to freeze half the room. Silence swallowed the hall. Her stepmother froze. Her father blinked in disbelief. "Agent?" he repeated slowly, but Baines didn't answer him. Instead, he reached forward, not for the tray, for her hand. "I've reviewed your cybersecurity reports. Outstanding work. You changed how our systems defend against threats." Jade gave a palm nod. "Thank you. I thought I'd visit personally before tomorrow's audit." That single word hit the room like thunder. Audit. And suddenly, everything changed. Her father stepped forward slowly, his voice shaking now. "You're the federal agent assigned to this project?" Jade looked straight into his eyes. After 7 years of silence, "Yes," she said calmly, "and I'm the one who decides whether your company moves forward or gets shut down." She handed the tray to a nearby staff member, stepped forward, shoulders straight, eyes steady, and for the first time in years, she wasn't standing beneath them. They were standing beneath her. Game on. At exactly 7:48 a.m., Jade stepped out of a black government vehicle parked in front of Carter Technologies. No spotlight, no announcement, no drama, just quiet power, the kind that didn't need noise to be noticed. The building stood tall in front of her, glass walls shining under the early sunlight. She had been here once before, years ago, back when her father used to bring her in as a child, telling her, "One day, all this will be yours." Back then, she believed him. Now, she knew better. The security guard at the entrance scanned her badge. The moment the clearance flashed green, his posture changed instantly. "Good morning, Agent Carter," he said respectfully. Jade gave a small nod. "Morning," she replied calmly. And just like that, the doors opened. Not for a daughter, not for family, but for authority. Inside, the reception area went quiet. People stared. Word had already spread overnight. Everyone knew now. The forgotten daughter was the federal agent auditing their system. The receptionist stood awkwardly. "Ma'am, would you like someone from the executive team to assist you?" Jade gave a faint smile. "They'll find me soon enough," she said. "For now, I'd like access to the systems floor." The elevator ride felt long, not because of distance, but because of memory. Every floor passing by reminded her of the past she once imagined, a future she was supposed to inherit, a role she was expected to accept, but never chose. Ding. Floor 12. Security infrastructure. The heart of the entire operation. The place where mistakes didn't cost money, they cost lives. A young engineer waited near the server entrance, nervous, sweating slightly, holding a tablet like it might protect him. "Agent Carter?" he asked. "Yes. I'm Milo, lead engineer for endpoint security." Jade studied his face. Not arrogance, not confidence, just pressure. Too much pressure. "Good," she said calmly. "Walk me through the system." They entered the server room. Cold air, low mechanical humming, rows of blinking machines, thousands of lines of code flowing behind steel panels. This was the battlefield. Not guns, not explosions, just data and hidden weaknesses. Milo began explaining the system architecture, firewalls, encryption layers, defense segmentation. His voice was steady until Jade started asking questions. "Where is the final penetration testing report?" He hesitated. "Still pending." Jade stopped walking, slowly turned toward him. "Pending?" she repeated. His throat tightened. "Executive decision," he admitted quietly. Deployment timeline was accelerated. She didn't react, didn't show anger, but inside, she already knew. Corners had been cut, dangerous ones. "Who authorized the early deployment?" she asked. Milo hesitated again, then answered softly, "Brandon Carter." The name hung in the air like smoke. Jade nodded slowly, not surprised, just disappointed. They moved deeper into the system review. Within minutes, red flags began appearing, one after another. Unsecured API routes, weak monitoring filters, incomplete log trails. Each one small alone, but deadly together. By 10:12 a.m., Jade had already flagged 3 critical vulnerabilities. Any one of them could stop the contract. All 3 combined could destroy it. She sat at a terminal, logged into the Federal Audit Interface, created a secure report file. Title: CT Aegis Security Review, Level Omega, highest priority, highest risk, highest consequence. Then suddenly, the door hissed open. Heavy footsteps entered. She didn't need to look. She already knew who it was. Brandon. "Well," he said with forced confidence, "you made yourself comfortable?" Jade didn't turn, didn't react, didn't stop typing. "You locked me out of my own system," he continued. Now she turned. Slowly, calmly. "I followed federal audit protocol. You signed the compliance agreement. You should know that." His jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous," he snapped. "You're really going to destroy this deal over a few bugs?" Jade stood, looked him directly in the eyes. "These aren't bugs, they're vulnerabilities. Dangerous ones, preventable ones, and worst of all, authorized ones. You rushed deployment without full penetration testing. You approved live access while security layers were still unstable. You prioritized speed over safety." Every word landed heavier than the last. Brandon's confidence began cracking. "You're exaggerating," he said. "I made aggressive decisions. That's how innovation works." Jade stepped closer. Not aggressive, not emotional, just precise. "This isn't innovation, this is negligence." Silence filled the room. Cold, heavy, unavoidable. For a moment, Brandon said nothing. Then finally, "So this is revenge?" he asked bitterly. Jade shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "This is responsibility." And that single sentence hit harder than anything else. She returned to the terminal, continued typing, flagging vulnerabilities, recording timestamps, building the report. Because unlike him, she wasn't trying to protect an image, she was trying to protect lives. Behind her, Brandon stood frozen, watching, realizing, for the first time in his life, he wasn't in control. And the worst part, there was nothing he could do about it. Tomorrow would be the meeting, the one where everything would be revealed. The one where numbers would speak louder than pride, the one where the truth would finally be impossible to hide, and Jade Carter was ready.